Welcome to Hyperfixation Investigations, the podcast where two neurospicy best friends take time every other Saturday to infodump their research deep dive of the week.
Lovingly produced and copyrighted by Wolf and Stag Productions.
Today's fun fact is, the tea clipper, or ship, Cutty Sark's hold could carry 10,000 tea chests at a time. That's enough to make 200 million cups of tea in one cargo.
Good morning, I'm Josh, and I'll be captaining this week's episode, Tea, the steep that steered the East India Company.
Good evening, I'm Kara, and I'm just along for the ride. For those of you joining us for the first time, how things work here is, Josh will be leading us through a mini lecture on the topic, and we will ask questions and discuss throughout the episode.
Expect tangents throughout. We switch off duties each week, so next time expect Kara to helm the episode.
Now to our regularly scheduled program. Josh, what have you been hyperfixating on this week?
I've been spiraling down a rabbit hole about tea.
Ah, I shouldn't be surprised.
No, you well know that is one of my favorite things to drink.
Yes.
First, I'm going to be very clear about what I mean when I say tea.
Okay.
Because weirdly, I do actually need to disambiguate a little bit.
Okay.
So oftentimes tea is a name given to any drink that has been made from creating a liquid infusion by steeping plant leaves, stems, buds, or fruits.
Right.
There are a few common and ubiquitous plants used in making teas, the most common of which is Camellia sinensis.
Is that chamomile tea?
No, actually, chamomile is a different plant.
Cool. Okay.
Camellia sinensis is the source of basically all caffeinated teas. And we'll talk more about Camellia sinensis in depth in a few minutes. But for now, just know that basically all caffeinated teas are made from the leaves of that one plant. So usually that is referred to as the tea plant.
Okay. And that includes green teas, black teas.
Green tea, black tea, oolong.
Okay. Rope.
No, but we'll get to that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can never say that one.
Rooibos?
Sure.
Yeah, rooibos is something else. Again, we'll get to that in a second. So basically all other teas are herbal teas.
Okay.
I'm going to briefly touch on the most abundant herbal teas. You, as you just indicated, are very familiar with chamomile.
Yes.
Which is often consumed to soothe coughing, indigestion, insomnia, anxiety, colic infants.
Can't imagine why I need it.
And apparently some people use it as mouthwash. Yeah, I know. I thought it was a bit...
I am making what?
Yes.
My face is very questioning right now.
If you could see the face Kara just gave me. I'm a bit taken aback by that one as well. But I mean, you can get a minty chamomile, so I guess I get it?
I mean, sure. I mean, I drink Sleepy Time all the time, but
Right.
I'm not sure I would use it as mouthwash.
No, that one feels a bit weird, but hey man, you do you.
You do you. It's not hurting anybody.
No. Now, chamomile, when identified in people's gardens, is used as a name for several daisy-like species in the family Asteraceae.
Okay.
But chamomile tea is typically made from either the leaves of Mitrocaria chamomilla, sometimes called German chamomile, or Chamomellum nobile, sometimes called Roman chamomile.
Cool.
And there's been some research over the years aimed at determining the medicinal potential of these plants. As far as I've found, the data has generally been a combination of mostly neutral and barely slightly promising. I did find a couple studies, including a meta-analysis, which always love a meta-analysis,
Yes.
showing mild improvement in treating insomnia and anxiety with chamomile.
Yeah.
But I will say these studies are often fairly small in their sample size, and their methods are not statistically foolproof. And at least one of these studies aimed at evaluating how well it treated insomnia ended up determining that its own statistical correlation was so bad that it basically found no effect outside of random chance. So for the statistics nerds out there, that one study had a p-value of 0.85, which for everybody else basically just means that it was completely statistically invalidated by itself. So at best, most of these studies are neutral or it's slightly positive, but they make large claims with somewhat small data sets.
Yeah, like maybe it's more just drinking something warm and calming
Right.
before bed is helpful more so than what specific plant is in it.
Yeah.
Because like I drink chamomile tea sometimes, I drink peppermint tea sometimes, drink this one combination of herbal teas from this place in New York that's really good. But none of them, I've never found any of them to be any more effective than the other.
Right.
It's more like the tradition of just slowing down, calming down, drinking something warm right before bed.
Yeah, and that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Because the gist of most of these studies is that there's at least some evidence that there is at least a subjective improvement in quality of sleep. It's just not necessarily an abundance of reliable data. It's just, there might be some. Also, weird side note.
Yes.
I found a case study.
Good.
Which claims that chamomile was exceptionally helpful in helping a woman who was having trouble lactating to produce breast milk. But again, this is a case study with a sample size of one person.
Right.
So it's extremely anecdotal and to be taken with a hefty pile of salt.
Yes.
It's interesting, at the very least, that this case study exists.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't hang my hat on it. But I do think it's an interesting, they did this research? Okay. Anywho, since many people do find it soothing, and there is at least some data to support its effectiveness, even if not strongly, if you find drinking chamomile works for you to help sleep or soothe a cold or soothe anxiety, go for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's not the most effective thing in the world. If it helps you, it helps you.
Yep.
I figure that's always worthwhile.
Indeed it is.
Oh, and also be warned that if you're allergic to daisies, marigold, chrysanthemums, or ragweed, you might also be allergic to chamomile. They are closely related.
Alrighty then.
So the other herbal tea that you mentioned is rooibos.
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 Okay.
I assume I'm saying it close to correct. Rooibos is Afrikaans for red bush.
Okay. I did think there was a correlation to the color red.
Yeah.
For some reason.
It's a broom-like shrub which grows natively in a very narrow region of largely mountainous coastal shrubland in South Africa.
Cool.
This plant, also known by its scientific designation, Aspalathus linearis, is a member of the Fabaceae family, also sometimes called the Leguminosae family, which you may recognize a little bit of that name as being the legume, pea, or bean family. So yeah, rooibos is a legume.
Interesting.
So during
it's bean tea.
Oh gods, it's
but
bean
isn't that
tea.
just coffee?
Well, oh gods,
it's tea inception.
I'm gonna move past this existential crisis real quick. Well, now I'm just thinking of that one scene from Avatar: The Last Airbender. That one moment where Iroh was talking about, "This isn't tea. This is just hot leaf juice."
Oh.
And his nephew goes, "Isn't that what all tea is?"
Yep.
Yeah. Anywho. So during the tea making process, rooibos is usually oxidized. It's exposed to oxygen and it turns a brownish red. Though green rooibos also does exist. It's just a more intensive process of preparing and drying the leaves in a way that doesn't oxidize them. And I'll get into more of that in a minute.
Yeah.
But side note.
Oh, good. Another one.
I know. I'm sorry. There's going to be a lot of weird little side tangents this episode from me specifically. I apologize now. There actually was an American trademark controversy about the name rooibos around 20 to 30 years ago.
Okay.
Burke International had trademarked the name rooibos in 1994 and then spent a few years trying to claim that anyone who was correctly identifying a product which contained this plant as being rooibos was infringing on their trademark because they owned the word.
No, you don't own words with trademark. Let me tell you, as the person who handles our trademarks.
Well, that's just it. In 2005, only 11 years later, Burke International got sued by the American Herbal Products Association and the Republic of Tea and Rooibos Limited, which is a South African exporter of the plant. And this resulted in U.S. District Court agreeing that the trademark was invalid.
Good.
So Burke International issued a statement that they would, quote, voluntarily surrender the trademark.
Oh, shut up. God, people are annoying.
It's so silly.
That's like if I were to say that because our business name is trademarked as Wolf and Stag, we owned the words wolf.
Right.
And stag.
It's utterly ridiculous. I thought you would appreciate that.
I do appreciate it. It pisses me off, but I appreciate it.
All right, so let's circle back to the main tea plant.
Yes.
Camellia sinensis.
All right, the caffeinated tea.
Yes. So this is an evergreen shrub originating from Eastern Asia.
Cool.
As mentioned earlier, essentially all caffeinated tea is made from Camellia sinensis, though its cousin Camellia thaliensis can sometimes be used instead.
Okay.
This includes black, green, oolong teas, and there are a few other versions that I will very lightly touch on in a
I find
moment.
it interesting that they're evergreens.
Yeah, right?
You wouldn't think of that. I think people would just think of leaves. They wouldn't think of you don't think of tea as bushes.
That's fair.
Firstly, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of it, it being an evergreen.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, of course, reminder that evergreen does not mean that it's pine.
It just
conifer.
means that it doesn't die out in the winter.
Yeah.
Right.
It just keeps its leaves all year.
I mean, I think that's interesting, especially because Eastern Asia does still have, depending on where you are in Eastern Asia, pretty significant winters.
Right. It's not as if it doesn't experience winter, or
Right.
at least a noticeable climate shift during that season.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens to be evergreen.
Yeah.
Now, there are enough subtle differences in the manufacturing practices to produce hundreds of tea varieties.
Yeah.
But these main three categories are defined by whether or not they are, and how much they are oxidized.
Okay.
Oxidation is the process in which tea leaves are left exposed to the air, allowing their chlorophyll to break down over time, which slowly turns the leaves from green to dark brown.
Okay, so is green tea the less oxidized? And then
Yes.
black teas are the most oxidized?
Yes.
And is it a form of drying them out for preservation and stuff? Or is it just a natural flavor process?
It's kind of an aging process, not necessarily drying.
Okay.
So, generally speaking, Camellia sinensis is very high in catechins, which are a grouping of chemical compounds known for being a great antioxidant.
Okay.
And green teas have the most catechins, while catechins are reduced in oolong and greatly reduced in black teas because the oxidation process produces chemical compounds from catechins that partly result in the darker coloration of these oolong and black teas.
Yeah.
Now, this is also thought to be related to the amount of caffeine content.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind that the actual caffeine content of any given tea depends greatly on a wide variety of factors, not just how long it was aged to oxidize.
Okay.
So where it was cultivated, how exactly it was processed, which again can vary greatly.
Yeah.
And even how you personally prepare your mug of tea can alter the exact caffeine content.
Right. Well, when you think of matcha is considered a much more caffeinated version of green tea.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So just thinking of increased oxidation meaning increased caffeine content, not really a great rule of thumb, but it is suggested that it's a factor.
Okay.
So globally speaking, around 78% of caffeinated tea that is produced is black tea. Around 20% is green tea, and the remaining 2-ish is oolong and a few other variations.
Okay.
So black tea is oxidized completely. Oolong is only partly oxidized, and green tea is basically not oxidized at all.
Okay.
Now, again, that's not to say that no oxidation possibly occurs at all, chemically speaking.
Right.
Because oxidation is literally just undergoing chemical reaction because it's exposed to oxygen.
Which it would be doing all the time anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess the more precise way to say this would be that there is no intentional oxidation of the leaves during the process of manufacturing the leaves into tea.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So for all of these, the Camellia sinensis bush is typically harvested for leaves twice a year, once in early spring, then again in either late spring or early summer. And it's usually the new growth that is specifically pulled
Okay.
because it's the sweetest, most flavorful of the leaves.
As is common with plants.
Right. Not surprisingly.
Yeah.
After being picked from the bush, the leaves are allowed to wither and wilt so as to remove excess moisture from the leaves and make it easier for oxidation to occur.
Okay.
This process does not typically take more than a few days, as far as my research showed. Green tea is prevented from oxidizing by steaming or pan firing the leaves immediately after picking them off the plant, or after a teeny bit of withering, which allows them to keep their green coloration.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Green tea is then rolled up into a ball and kneaded lightly, like how you would knead dough for bread.
Huh.
Like kneaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. That removes excess moisture and oils and equalizes the moisture content between the leaves. So you don't have one that's super dry and one that's super wet in the same batch.
Right.
They're then allowed to fully dry, and usually drying is done by gently baking the leaves, but it can be done by sunning or air drying instead. Meanwhile, black and oolong teas are rolled and kneaded after withering, again to remove excess moisture, but this process of kneading is also combined with intentionally bruising and tearing the leaves, which allows for easier oxidation.
Oxidation, right? Because it's got like open wounds, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have more surface area of the plant open to the air, so more of it can oxidize more easily. And oolong tea is typically only bruised instead of torn, and is allowed to oxidize only partially in a temperature-controlled environment, while black teas have their leaves torn more completely and are oxidized until they are black or brown. Once the desired level of oxidation is achieved, the leaves are baked to make sure they are fully dry and ready for market. Though some teas get additional aging after baking, depending on the flavor profile they're going for.
Okay.
So matcha tea, as you mentioned earlier, is actually just green tea that has been specifically grown in shade and then crushed into a very fine powder.
Huh.
This powder can also be used to dye and flavor various foods, such as lattes, mochi, and ice creams.
Right. So shade versus sun makes a difference.
A little bit, yeah.
Interesting.
I will say there are plenty of like lattes, mochi, ice creams, and whatnot that use cheaper knockoff dyes and products and flavors to achieve a similar flavor profile than actually using real matcha, because real matcha is a little more expensive because it has been processed pretty intensely.
Yeah.
Now, yellow teas are also a variation on green teas, but yellow teas are extremely uncommon.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever even heard of yellow tea.
No, it's pretty rare. I think it's mainly a thing in China and Korea, I believe.
Interesting.
And the main difference between yellow and green teas are that yellow teas get an additional steaming or sweltering that allows the leaves to oxidize very, very slowly. So they can undergo the tiniest bit of oxidation, though a lot of sources will claim that they don't oxidize them at all. They will also then say that, well, we swelter them so they barely oxidize over time, regardless.
Yeah.
But they can do this very slowly, so they don't really develop much bitterness, and they actually tend to have a fairly mellow flavor profile. I don't think I've ever had yellow tea, but I would be interested to find one.
Yeah, I would be interested to try it. I wonder if there's any at H Mart.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, H Mart might have them.
Yeah.
Now, there is also white tea.
I have heard of white tea.
Right. I've seen them a little more often.
Yeah.
I haven't really mentioned it in depth, mostly because it's not incredibly popular. The exact definition is also a bit of a contentious point.
Oh, good.
So...
Tea? Contentious?
No, of course not. Defining exactly what processes make certain teas that tea? No, that would never be contentious. So it's still the same plant, but sometimes the leaves are picked slightly earlier in the season while they still have little white hairs on them.
Okay.
Hence, white teas.
Tea, sure.
Sometimes the immature buds of the plant are included for additional flavoring. Sometimes the leaves are or are not steamed or fired before drying.
Huh.
But in general, white teas are very minimally processed. They're not rolled, or if they're rolled, they're not rolled very much, like very intensely, and they are not allowed to oxidize basically at all.
So it really does kind of go in like the bruise color spectrum. White to green to yellow to oolong to black.
I'm so mad I didn't even think of that. No, but you're so right.
Yeah.
That's...
Take it from your chronically ill friend. That's the color order of bruises. Or severities.
Oh, God. Pu'er tea is another interesting variant.
Heard of that one too, yeah.
Yeah, so pu'er comes from actually any stage of oxidation. The key thing with pu'er tea is that once the leaves are rolled and withered, which is usually the last step before drying, the leaves are traditionally heaped into a pile, and bacteria is allowed to ferment the pile of leaves.
Interesting.
Now, in the 1970s, a new process was introduced where a bacteria culture is introduced to the pile instead of letting it develop its own unique culture over time to kind of speed up the fermentation process.
Like a yeast starter or sourdough starter.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And either way, once the leaves have undergone at least 40 days of fermentation, Then they're heated to kill off the bacteria and fully dried. Pu'er tea can be traced back to the Yunnan province during the Eastern Han Dynasty of China, which is about 25 to 220 CE.
25.
So within the last 2,000 years, but
yeah, okay, yeah.
only barely.
It's still old.
Oh yeah, it's still old.
So, okay, but it's not fermented to like a alcohol level.
No. Not fermented for alcoholization. Alcoholization? Not fermented for alcohol purposes.
Yeah.
Just
the bacteria for flavor.
Yes, for flavor, and it changes very much the overall profile of it.
Yeah,
quite a lot.
It. Now I want to try that too.
Yeah.
You know, I've drunk a lot of tea in my life, but I've never been super adventurous with the flavors I try.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I know what I like, and you know.
No, that's valid. And I will say, I mean, Earl Grey and English breakfast are super common over here, so it's really easy to just go, yeah, I'll just get that. Maybe add some honey and lemon. Yeah.
And then just lots of herbal teas because I like to drink tea when I would want coffee, but it's too late in the day for me to have caffeine.
Yeah, you know, not for nothing. Maybe drinking enough caffeine to kill a horse is not healthy for the average person.
What?
So...
Who says?
No, I understand that. Says my cardiologist. What do you mean?
Yeah. But how else are we going to self-medicate our ADHD?
Yeah, you're right. All right, 27 cups of coffee a day it is.
Hashtag high school.
Oh, God. No, we genuinely drank way too much coffee. Well, you drank too much coffee in high school.
Yeah.
I drank way too much coffee in college.
Yeah.
Which is why I switched to black coffee instead of coffee
Sugar
with cream and
coffee.
sugar.
Yeah.
Because I was drinking 60 to 80 ounces a day and went, hey, this is like half cream and sugar. This is going to kill me.
Yeah.
Anywho, tea. Time for a tea break. We're going to take a quick breather here to brew ourselves a new mug of tea before continuing, so you may as well join in and relax with some tea of your own.
For those of you who may not have seen our updates yet, a few big changes are happening at Hyperfixation Investigations over the next couple of months. The first one you'll notice is that we are moving to a new release schedule. We will be releasing 2 episodes a month from now on instead of weekly, and that will often be the second and fourth Saturday of the month. Episodes will still be released at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. The other change is due to the current political, social, and economic situation here in the U.S. In response to DEI fact-checking and other safety rollbacks at Meta, the company that owns Instagram and Facebook, we will be moving off of these apps completely come March. For those who appreciate social media updates and episode reminders, please follow us on YouTube at Hyperfixation Investigations Podcast, or on the app Blue Sky at HI-podcast. Or sign up for our email list on our website to ensure you never miss a thing.
I know that was a big update, and really 2 updates at once, but also please remember that if you're enjoying the pod, we always greatly appreciate a like, comment, review of the pod on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as our website, and you can find us on Patreon, where you can help support us directly. Oh, and we also have added episode transcripts to the website for those of you who enjoy or need a written version of the pod. All right, your tea should be steeped by now, so let's get back into the episode. All right, so let's now get into some of the history of tea.
Cool.
Which, of course, this will be intertwining with colonialism, which means I'm also going to finally get to the etymology of tea.
Cool.
In just a minute, because the etymology of the word tea is very much steeped in history.
Oh, God. I knew when I put that as the subtitle, there was going to be problems.
Oh, that pun was already in there long before we agreed on the new subtitle.
Great.
So, East Asian peoples have spent thousands of years eating tea leaves in various meals, such as soups and salads.
Okay.
Or fermenting the leaves and chewing on them.
Okay, so what do we think about cilantro as a tea herb?
I feel a little strange about that.
Yeah. I feel like basil makes sense.
Basil makes sense. Cilantro...
And rosemary with other things makes sense.
So the problem is I don't like cilantro on its own.
No, me neither.
I have a little bit too much of the soap gene.
But when you said, they would eat it in soups or whatever, the herb that came to my brain immediately was cilantro.
Oh, that's fair. Okay. So according to the Chinese Historical and Cultural Project, Chinese legend claims that Emperor Shen Nong accidentally invented tea, or drinking tea,
Okay.
in 2737 BCE.
Cool. So that's like 5,000 years ago.
Yes, a little less than, but
Yeah.
yes. So the tale goes that supposedly he had previously decreed that all his subjects must boil their water before drinking it. Ahead of his time. Way to go. But that one day, some leaves from a nearby bush fell into a pot of water, and he told his servants not to throw it out because it smelled good. And then he drank it and enjoyed the concoction so much, he declared it must have great restorative properties. However, there are a variety of potential origins for boiling the leaves and drinking them.
Mm-hmm.
So, given how ancient the practice of drinking tea is, it's really difficult to be certain of the actual location and date of its invention.
That
and
makes sense,
why.
yeah.
But either way, The Story of Tea, A Cultural History and Drinking Guide, written by Mary Lou Heiss and Robert J. Heiss, indicates that tea was mainly a medicinal drink for a long time, and was well known as a medicinal drink in the Yunnan province, which is like southwestern China,
Okay.
by the time of the Shang dynasty, which is 1766 to 1050 BCE.
Okay.
It's uncertain exactly how quickly and when tea became a recreational beverage, but there is a 2016 study which analyzed the desiccated and agglomerated remains of plant matter found in a jar in a tomb from the late 2nd, early 3rd century CE on the edge of the Tibetan plateau,
We love this.
in an area where the Silk Road would have traveled at that time.
Cool.
So a chemical analysis of that plant residue found high degree of similarity to the chemicals expected to be found in samples of tea, indicating that tea was at least potentially traded to cultures west of China as early as the 2nd century CE.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all have some idea that it's a really old drink, but just how old it is and just how long it's been spreading, throughout the world and traded and enjoyed, it's kind of mind-boggling.
And the methods by which we learn this and confirm
Yeah.
where it may have been at what time,
Uh-huh.
delightful.
Yeah.
So there was also a medicinal text written by the Chinese physician Hua Tuo. I apologize now. I do not speak Chinese, so I will mispronounce. I'm going to do my best, but bear with me. I'm sorry. Hua Tuo mentions a drink called tu, and that same word is then seen again referring to this drink during the late 8th century when the writer Lu Yu made a splash in his book The Classic of Tea, in which he described the process of making tea and extolled its virtues. The popularity of that book means that he is sometimes credited with making the love of tea an everyday beverage, a widespread thing in China at that time.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's referred to as like an ancient influencer.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Because he wrote this book about how great this drink is. And yeah, it's medicinal, but it tastes good. So why not have some every day?
The same cannot be said for kombucha. I don't care. Nobody can ever convince me that tastes good.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. I don't think I've ever had kombucha. I don't think the stories I've heard of it lend me towards wanting to try it. But whatever, man. Anywho, nowadays, there are actually 3 prominent versions of the word tea used throughout the world, and each have some variation, right? So tea, the one we're familiar with, is sometimes also pronounced te.
Yep.
Depending on dialect.
That's how you pronounce it in Gaelga.
Yep. There's also cha or char,
Mm-hmm.
or chai.
We love chai.
So,
When
yeah.
you say you're drinking chai tea, you are being redundant.
Yes, you're
Yes.
drinking tea,
Yes.
even though Western cultures have added the connotation that chai means it's a spiced tea. That's mostly just because chai is believed to be a Persian derivation from the Northern Chinese dialectal pronunciation of the word cha. The Persians added the I sound at the end of the word, kind of bringing it into their language.
Yeah.
While they were trading with those northern provinces, resulting in Middle Eastern nations and subsequently most of the Indian subcontinent also referring to tea as chai.
Interesting.
So the modern English word tea likely originates from the Dutch in the early 1800s, who picked up the word either from the Malay, who would have called it te, or the Min Chinese, whose dialect would have had them saying a very similar te.
Interesting.
However, it is believed that cha was actually the first version to be brought to the English language in the 1590s.
Wow.
By means of Portuguese merchants who traded with Chinese merchants in the port of Macau near the port of Canton in the Pearl River Delta.
Yep, gotta love the Portuguese.
Which is the Guangzhou region of southwestern China, which is where the Portuguese would have picked up the word cha from the Cantonese dialect for this drink.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say this is where colonialism enters the story.
Yeah.
Portugal leased the territory of Macau from the Ming Dynasty in 1557. Making it the first European colony in China.
Wow.
The locals had previously named the area Ma Gao,
Okay.
which of course the Portuguese then referred to as Macau. And that's been the Western designation ever since. Portugal, Spain, and Italy used Macau as a trade outpost with China until the 1800s, when the British and Dutch seized control of most of the naval trade routes with East Asia.
I'm shocked.
Right. However, I don't know if a lot of people know this, Portugal retained governing control of Macau until 1999.
Whoa.
When they officially returned the region to China, and it subsequently became a special administrative region under China.
Interesting. So would that be something similar to something like Hong Kong and Shanghai?
Yes. So Macau is actually currently, at least at time of researching this episode, the most densely populated area in the world, with 710,000 people living in a 12.7 square mile area.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's even worse than New York.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is saying something.
Speaking of Portugal, the Portuguese Empire managed to get in early and tightly control the spice trade in and around South Africa and West Africa in the late 1400s.
Uh-huh.
And then moved to do the same in India and Indonesia in the first few years of the 1500s. They successfully controlled this spice trade by means of colonizing these areas for nearly 100 years. But the 1580 War of Portuguese Succession, in which the entire Portuguese royal line died out, resulted in the Spanish monarch being in control of Portugal.
Yep.
And for a period of about 60 years-ish thereafterwards, almost the entire Iberian Peninsula was controlled by the Spanish Habsburg monarchs. So with Spain and Portugal temporarily united, all of their colonies were likewise now under Spanish control. So everyone who had beef with Spain and had military might to do anything about it, mainly the Dutch Republic, England, and France, started attacking Portuguese colonies as well as the Spanish colonies they had already been occasionally attacking. Attempting to defend all of their colonies ended up spreading Portuguese and Spanish resources very thin. So Spain gathered about 130 ships.
Okay.
And around 8,000 seamen and 19,000 soldiers.
Jeez.
To form what is known as the Spanish Armada.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure many people have heard of loosely. Ironically enough, this is sometimes also called the Invincible Armada. They set sail from Lisbon, the capital of Portugal, in May of 1588 to attempt to invade England in the hopes of overthrowing Queen Elizabeth I.
Yeah. So if you ever want a niche point of view on this time of history, go read about Mary, Queen of Scots.
Yes.
Because she was very much involved in all of this. And all of this is part of a reason why she ended up in the Tower of London, even though she was considered a close friend of her cousin Elizabeth I.
Yeah. The Armada was also hoping to reinstate Catholicism as the national religion of England. And end the attacks on their colonies by both the English and the Dutch. The English and Dutch Republic were closely allied at this time, so taking out either one of them would have meant less resistance overall. And also the Anglo-Spanish War, as this is typically called, was an undeclared war, and it's more of a name given after the fact to a series of smaller conflicts and, you know, things that definitely constitute acts of war, but were never officially called such by either empire. Except to, like, point fingers, but it was never actually officially a war. However, the Spanish Armada ends up getting defeated by less than 100 defending English ships because they were faster and better armed,
And they knew how to deal with the English Channel far better than the Spanish did.
Oh, yeah, they had home field
That's
advantage.
a very dangerous stretch of water.
Right. The Spanish were actually forced to retreat the long way, traveling all the way around England, Scotland, and Ireland to make it back home.
Yep.
Only 60 of the original 130 ships returned to Spain.
Jeez.
In the following 13 years, there were 3 more attempts by Spain to use this armada, and each time they were defeated and routed. But this first one is considered the largest and most decisive battle of this undeclared war.
Mm-hmm.
So, therefore, it's also the conflict that effectively defanged Spain and Portugal,
Right.
enough to allow other European empires to swoop in with their various East India companies to begin taking over the spice trade.
Yep.
Yes. And yes, you heard correctly, various East India companies. There were actually multiple East India companies. English, Dutch, Danish, Portuguese, Genoese, French, Swedish, and Austrian.
Jeez, that is a lot.
Yes. So we are mostly going to be talking about the English East India Company,
Okay.
since that's the most directly involved with tea.
Yeah.
I promise this episode is still about tea. You haven't skipped to a new other episode. I haven't smashed together a couple files
This is why
accidentally.
we gave you the warning with the subtitle.
Yes. And the English East India Company was also the most long-lasting and influential. I mean, when people think of the East India Company, they're probably thinking of the English
Yeah.
East India Company. Hell,
You know,
think
monopolies and oligarchs and
Right.
colonizing and all that stuff.
Right. Listeners probably remember the East India Company from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Yep.
The series where, yeah, a twice-cursed octopus-headed ferryman of the dead is an antagonist, but the true villain was capitalism all along. I love those movies. So all of the East India Companies were generally founded with charters from their respective European empires with the intention of profiting from the spice trade,
Okay.
particularly in India and Indonesia. Europeans at this time generally referred to Indonesia as the East Indies,
Okay.
hence the company names,
Yep.
East India Companies. The East India Company was officially chartered in December 31st, 1600,
That's kind of auspicious.
and immediately began to build a trade empire in the Indian Ocean.
Yep.
The East India Company was originally met with strong resistance by both the Portuguese Empire and the Dutch East India Company, but they gained a foothold in India after the company defeated a Portuguese fleet off the coast of India in 1612, in full view of the local populace, mind you. At which point the Mughal Empire of India granted various trading concessions to the EIC. Also, reminder that the East India Company, not only a massive trade company, they also very quickly grew profitable enough to have their own huge
Militias.
private military and navy.
Yep.
At the height of the East India Company's power, they employed over 200,000 soldiers,
Gotta love it.
making this private company the largest army in Southeast Asia at that time. Anywho,
Good.
these trading concessions with India began a centuries-long monopoly by the EIC in this region, and they quickly moved to control all naval trade with China. This company held monopolistic control of naval trade in and out of India until 1813, and with China until about 1833. The East India Company effectively ruled these colonies,
Yeah.
subjecting these people to English rule, but the company was the one in charge.
Yeah.
At least until 1858, when the English crown finally decided to revoke control of the colony from the company
Right.
and began to rule their colonies in India more directly. Yeah, so from the early 1600s until the 1850s, this private company was the controlling interest in the Indian colonies.
It sounds oddly familiar.
Yeah.
It's somewhat poignant right now.
Yeah. There were many issues, of course, with the East India Company having such direct control.
Oh, of
Because,
course.
of course, they're profit motivated.
Yeah.
They don't
They don't care
No.
about people.
They're here to make money
Right.
and screw over everyone who gets in their way.
Exactly.
Yeah. The East India Company ended up using their trade monopoly to engage in what is known as triangular trade. So they would spend gold and silver to purchase cotton textiles from India and some spices, of course.
Yeah. Tea is included in that.
Yes. They then sold the textiles in Indonesia for even more spices and then resold those spices to England in exchange for gold and silver.
It's a nice little feeding itself.
Yeah, a nice little feedback loop.
Yeah.
Gold and silver for textiles, textiles for spices, spices for gold and silver for textiles, textiles for spices, spices for gold. Round and round we go.
Yep.
So overall, the East India Company very commonly traded in Indian textiles, Indian opium, bookmark this in your minds for later, gold and silver, slaves, coffee, copper, lead, tin, and iron.
Wow.
Saltpeter, mostly for gunpowder, porcelain, spices, pepper, ginger, cloves, cinnamon, nutmeg, salt, and sugar, and of course, Chinese tea. Now, we are actually getting back to tea.
Yay!
So it seems that the Dutch East India Company is actually responsible for introducing tea to England, as they first offloaded Chinese tea to England in the 1650s.
Okay.
Where it spent a couple of years as nothing more than a novelty occasionally sold in coffee houses. Tea may have been popularized in England. Tea may have been popularized in England once Catherine of Braganza arrived to marry King Charles II.
Okay.
Catherine was Portuguese, and Portuguese aristocracy had begun drinking tea a few years earlier, so when Catherine became Queen of England, Scotland, and Ireland, she brought her love of tea with her. And the rest of the English aristocracy soon jumped on the bandwagon.
Right.
Thus was born England's love of tea.
And all of its colonies.
Oh, gods.
Including Ireland.
Yes. Now that the English nobility loved tea, the East India Company began seeking out tea trades in China to import tea back to England.
The English...
Yes.
East India Company?
Yes. I will specify which East India Company I'm talking about.
Okay.
Only if I'm talking about one other than the English.
Cool. Just wanted to make sure.
Over the following decades, the demand for tea grew rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
In 1670, tea comprised 0.03% of the East India Company's total traded goods. By the 1740s, tea had grown to account for 10.22% of all traded goods.
Wow. That's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for a long time, tea remained extremely expensive and was therefore only really affordable for the very wealthy.
Right.
I mean, there were
part of the reason why the British were so mad when we all dumped it in the Boston Harbor, too.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Now, how is the average person going to get access to tea with prices like that are meant for nobility?
Steal it?
Smuggling.
Yeah.
By the latter third of the 1700s, the amount of tea imported illegally by smuggling was far greater than the amount imported legally.
Nice.
So in 1783, the new Prime Minister, William Pitt the Younger, reduced tariffs on tea from 119% to 12.5%.
Whoa. Whoa.
Right.
The first one was ridiculous in and of itself.
Right.
And then that one, Jesus.
From 119% tariff to 12.5% tariff. Much more affordable.
Yeah.
Instantly making it no longer profitable to smuggle the tea, since reducing the tariffs greatly reduced tea prices for legal channels, making it much more affordable for the everyday English citizen to purchase tea legally, which also means they can actually tax sale of it much more easily than just tariffs. They still get their money that way. Naturally, this also means that even more tea had to be imported for the now skyrocketing demand. By the 1830s, the East India Company was importing 30 million pounds, or 13.6 million kilograms, of tea to England every year.
Wow. And was that just for England, or would it then move out to the other colonies from there?
That is, I would have to double check exactly. Mm-hmm. I believe that is direct to England, and now there may have been plenty of trade also from England to its colonies for that tea. And off the top of my head, I believe that's primarily the case. So that maybe England and its colonies. But again, I don't remember specifically, so put a pin in that.
Cool.
And we might come back to that later if I remember to do a double check on that. So an important point to address here, obviously, how is the East India Company getting their hands on that much tea?
Mm-hmm.
Because, so initially they started growing a lot in Bengal, India, which the company administered. However, this drive to produce more and more tea was actually part of the reason for the 1770 Great Bengal Famine.
Good.
Because they were pushing for farmers to grow cash crops instead of food crops.
Right.
So, oddly enough, this famine also contributed to the decision by the English to create the tea tax in the American colonies, which
and
led
we all know how that went.
Right. And part of the Boston Tea Party was protesting the price increase and tariff increase of tea.
Mm-hmm.
But the colonies were also getting occasional news reports of what was happening in other colonies, and they didn't want to risk potentially being treated like the other colonies, and were motivated to demand special treatment and lower costs, mostly due to racism towards the other colonies.
I'm shocked.
But we're the white colony.
Right.
You have to give us special privileges.
We were you guys.
Right.
So you gotta, yeah.
Right. We deserve better prices because we're white. Right.
Shocker.
The other colonies, you can do whatever you want to them. Just don't make us pay more for tea because you made them starve.
Right.
Yeah. So as demand for tea grew beyond what the Bengal farmers could supplement, they had to figure out some way to get more tea from China because most tea was still coming from China.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that China only really allowed trade with the EIC to occur in one port city, Canton. On top of all that, China generally wasn't that interested in most of the European goods that the East India Company tried to push on them. Or at least not enough to match the value of the desired quantities of tea.
Oh.
I know, I'm sorry, that was a bad one. So China was really only willing to accept silver bullion in exchange for tea.
Okay.
Well, there is one notable exception to only accepting silver.
Oh, let me guess.
Yes?
Opium.
You got it. So remember the triangular trade I mentioned earlier?
Yep.
The East India Company basically did the same thing for China with opium.
Interesting.
Right. They weren't really paying for the tea directly with opium, but rather the East India Company was using silver to buy tea and then selling the opium to China in exchange for the silver back. So please understand that I'm not talking about a direct opium to tea trade, but this like weird roundabout exchange where silver was still the primary currency being exchanged between this company and this country for these two products.
Yeah.
In order to meet the high demand, the East India Company, not only did they attempt to ramp up the growth and production of opium in their colonies in India, but they then sold that opium to China for silver and used that silver to purchase tea from China.
Right.
And then sold the tea to England for more silver.
I'm my own grandpa.
Basically.
Yeah.
They tried to pull that. And it worked.
Of course
for a
it
long
worked.
time.
Of course it worked.
So opium sales became the de facto strategy because, well, once you get a population addicted to a drug, you can use that as very effective leverage in your own favor to make a massive profit.
Yup.
Let me say that again. The East India Company created a drug epidemic in Canton so they can profit by using that addiction for decades against their buyers to get a better deal for tea.
Yeah. It tracks.
Oh, it does. And again, this is why the East India Company is often the bad guy in most media, because, yeah, they were the bad guys. So the situation in Canton got bad enough that by 1799, officials in Canton had completely outlawed opium because so much of the local population had become addicted. So, of course, they were trying to curb the addiction and reducing the flow of opium into the country.
Makes sense.
China also passed another even more comprehensive national ban of opium in 1813.
Okay.
But England demands tea. So the East India Company...
Well, then you can just smuggle opium into the country.
That's exactly it.
Yep.
They began a smuggling operation. So technically, the East India Company didn't directly do the smuggling, right? No. All they did was hire out merchants and give them licenses
Good.
to do the smuggling for them.
So subsidiaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, you random merchant, here's a license. We're going to give you some opium. Go sell that opium over there. Make sure no officials catch you, and you'll be paid handsomely.
Yeah. Gotta love it.
So in less than 30 years, the amount of opium being sold and smuggled into China ballooned. From
Because
about...
now it's not even being regulated.
No.
Right.
From like 4,500 chests of opium annually in 1810 to well over 40,000 chests of opium
God.
in 1838. which were being smuggled in by more than 100 smugglers' boats.
Good.
This all comes to a head in 1839.
Okay.
So, in an effort to crack down on the opium smuggling and address the opioid epidemic, China had previously attempted punishing its citizens who were caught using.
Okay.
But when that proved ineffective, as strangely,
Yeah, it's almost
we've
like
seen in recent history as well.
jailing drug addicts doesn't actually fix the problem.
No.
No, weird.
Weird. They decided instead to punish the citizens who were caught selling and
That-
focus only on that population specifically.
Makes sense, yeah.
So in the spring of 1839, more than 1,600 opium sellers were arrested.
Wow.
Tens of thousands of opium pipes were destroyed. And the local officials, led by Lin Zexu, then demanded British companies, mostly the East India Company, but at this point there were a few other smaller companies that had gotten involved alongside and under the EIC, demanded they turn over all of the opium in any trade ship anchored near the port in exchange for tea. He was willing to offer them tea
Yeah.
in exchange for, okay, you give us the opium,
And we'll give you the tea.
and we'll give you the tea. But you
And then-
also have to stop selling the opium here.
I'm sure that didn't go over well
No.
with the EIC.
No, this offer was refused.
Uh-huh.
So, Lin shut down the port for 6 weeks,
Oh my God.
refusing any and all trade with the English until they complied.
Good.
And eventually, some of the anchored ships did comply, but many others were actually stormed by Lin's troops, who confiscated the opium and then hired 500 men to destroy over 20,000 chests of opium
Ay.
by mixing it in with batches of salt and lime before dumping it into the harbor.
Oh, good. Pollution.
I mean, yes, but
Yeah. I mean, effective, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's great for the local sea life, don't you know?
Yeah.
Now, there actually was an incident in July of that year that escalated tensions when drunken British seamen were caught beating a Chinese villager to death. But the British refused to turn the men over to the Chinese government for trial because they didn't want their soldiers being tried in a Chinese court. So,
As much as things change, they all stay the same.
yeah. So, according to the Taking of Hong Kong by Susanna Ho and Derek Roebuck, the 5 men were tried by a British superintendent on the deck of a British warship in the waters outside of Hong Kong, and were only sentenced to pay a fine and do some hard labor in Britain. But that was
they
later...
probably never actually did.
No, that was
Yeah.
later overturned by other British courts back home.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, it doesn't matter if you beat people up as long as it's not a British person you're beating up.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Right. This incited a small blockade of the harbor from China, which was defeated in a brief little skirmish.
Okay.
Both sides ended up retreating after a few weeks of tensions. Then a few months later, in, I believe, November of that year, there was another similar incident.
Wait, I'm sorry. In which year are we in still?
Still 1839.
Okay, cool.
Yes. There was another incident that ended up in the sinking of 4 Chinese war junks, which were their big ships basically at that time. And both sides retreated again because the Chinese were admittedly outmatched and the British were concerned that the Chinese might employ fire rafts overnight to burn their ships.
Yeah.
An understandable concern given...
Ships were wooden back then.
Right. And
Yep.
again, hey, we're engaging in acts of war over trade. So over the following year, a series of minor skirmishes slowly escalate the situation until June of 1840, when British Commodore Bremer arrived with a flotilla, complete with 4 steam-powered gunships
Oh, gosh.
to reinforce the British forces already present. And I'm not saying the 4 steam-powered gunships were the flotilla. No, they were just part of the flotilla.
Right.
Many other wooden ships arrived. This was just the beginning of the advent of steam-powered ships.
Sure.
So what followed was 2 years of conflict that would become known as the First Opium War.
Good.
Yes, I will say there was a second Opium War in the late 1850s, but we're not really going to get too much into that since basically that can just be summarized by saying that British and French forces were being opportunistic and trying to improve a trade imbalance with China even more by taking advantage of the Taiping Rebellion happening at that time and going, oh yeah, well, we can do a little mini war, get some additional trade concessions.
Rude.
Yeah, so that's the second Opium War. We're not really going to get into that too much.
It has less to do with tea.
Yes, but the first Opium War ended with the British capturing Nanjing and forcing Chinese officials at gunpoint to sign a treaty that included the following benefits for Britain. First, China ceded the island of Hong Kong to Britain.
Right.
Second, a massive fee would be paid to both the British government and the merchants involved in the opium trade. Third, the ports of Canton, Shanghai, Xiamen, Ningbo, and Fuzhou must allow British residents, and any British residents living there are subject only to British law, not Chinese law.
Yikes.
And of course, a most favored nation clause.
Of course.
Which effectively means that any benefit granted by China to any other foreign nation in trade must also be applied to Britain.
Right.
Obviously, this also meant that China's attempts to stop the opium trade were effectively ruined.
Of course.
And in fact...
Of course, because it was, it was giving everybody power and money and tea.
Right. So who cares how many addicts suffer?
Right.
It doesn't matter. We get our tea, we get our money. It's fine.
Yeah.
And the amount of opium being traded into the country peaked at about 87,000 chests annually in 1879.
Wow.
All for the sake of acquiring more tea. Interestingly enough, this was not necessarily the nail in the coffin for the East India Company.
Of course, why would that be why would that be it?
Well, actually, the coffin started being built decades earlier because of how they were handling their administration of India.
Okay.
Granted, starting a costly war on the other side of the world in China isn't going to help public opinion.
Right.
But the British government had actually started taking power away from the East India Company in India as early as the mid-1770s.
Oh.
Partly because of the Bengal famine.
Sure.
And because the East India Company was governing India by means of shareholder meetings, where votes on any issue could be decided by purchasing shares in the company. And the British Crown finally decided to actually govern more of their own situation in their colonies.
Right.
Especially following the American War for Independence. So the East India Company slowly declined in power, and in the lead up to the First Opium War, it actually lost its trade monopoly and became more and more relegated to merely managing the British Crown's investments in various colonies, mostly India, until the Indian Mutiny of 1857 resulted in even that level of control being revoked by the Crown. Finally, the company was legally dissolved in 1873. But of course, the trade of tea continued, and
of course,
the drink has become well and truly entrenched in all levels of British society.
Yep.
And with how much of the world has either been colonized by the British or otherwise deeply influenced by those actions, countless other countries were already also hooked on the stuff.
Yep.
Thus, tea continues today to be a worldwide popular drink.
That's crazy.
Yes. It's still wild to me to think how much of why tea is as widespread a drink as it is because some company decided, you know what? We should get into the drug business.
Right. Right.
Like, what?
Yep.
I think that's the gist of my recent research rabbit hole regarding different types of tea, how the drink found itself at the heart of not only deeply problematic capitalist colonialism in both India and China,
right,
but also as the part of the cause of multiple wars. And into our hearts and homes today.
Yes. Our beloved drink.
With such a checkered past.
I know, seriously.
Unless, of course, you have any questions or anything that I didn't answer or get into.
I don't think so.
I need to? Okay.
And there's a lot of cultural aspects of tea, tea ceremonies in different cultures.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's so interesting, the different takes on the history of tea.
Yes.
This is more like the capitalistic, how white people ended up with tea.
Yes.
But then there's also like the very rich history of tea as medicine, like you mentioned before, and tea ceremonies like those in Japanese culture and
Yes.
how tea was enveloped into cultures like Irish culture and stuff like that, because, you know, Ireland was one of Britain's colonies, and so tea did end up there,
Yeah.
but it ended up becoming a part of, you know, some pagan things. And
I was going to say, simply by nature of being a drink made mostly with like plant leaves and hot water, it's a very easy and accessible drink for a lot of people if you can get your hands on the plant.
right.
It's really easy to make. I think it was a favorite of factory workers in Britain at the time because they could make it really easily and quickly.
Right. Well, and anything that involves boiling water, which makes your water safer.
Oh, yes.
And it's interesting, too, because, you know, the tea that we talked about in this episode is a very specific plant.
Right.
And that is the tea that we think of today. But then you also think of, you know, people have been boiling herbs and bark and dandelions and flowers in water in other cultures in different forms for just as long as East Asian tea has existed.
Right. So it's a really easy in
Yeah.
for that drink to be, oh, this is just other culture's version of something that we've already been doing.
Right.
Sure. Oh, this is pretty good. All right, well, let's get more of these varieties too.
Yeah. It's like a whole nother rabbit hole to go down, like spiritual and cultural significance of tea
Yeah.
outside of this economic and political
Right.
influence of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I was fairly focused today on, there's like a couple things about the history of its origins, but only a little bit because that is its own rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But a lot of this did end up just becoming, hey, what was the East India Company up to? Oh, shit. Ooh, would you look at that?
Yeah. They used tea as the excuse to get into the drug trade and start
Yep.
wars.
Yep.
Because why not?
Gods. Yeah. It's also, again, wild the influence that this one drink had on, and the tariffs that were imposed on it had
Yeah.
on the war for American independence.
Mhm.
Like our own history is tied in with that. I
Right.
mean, granted, there were plenty of other causes for that.
Oh, yeah.
It was just, here's
That's one of them. Yeah.
one excuse for one of the things that was happening at that time. Also a great example of why tariffs are a terrible idea.
Yeah.
That's not relevant for any reason.
No.
No. It doesn't make,
No.
tariffs don't make that product incredibly inaccessibly expensive.
They never caused tit for tat problems.
No.
No.
But yeah, I focused on this plant
Mm-hmm.
because most of the tea that is drunk worldwide is this plant.
For sure.
Though again, because its exact location and like what variety it is, like where it's grown exactly, changes its flavor profile a lot.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason that there's so many different types of teas.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that you can also put in various,
Like additives. And I don't mean
Right.
additives like bad chemical additives. I mean, I'm sure some of them have that, but
but like you can wither and
Rosebuds
age and
and-
dry and oxidize
Right.
the tea with other things in there
orange peel
so that it
and
pulls in some of those flavors.
Right.
Yeah.
mint.
Yeah. And then, of course, mixing that tea with herbal things so you can have a caffeinated tea that also has some herbal elements to it.
Oh, Moroccan mint tea.
Ooh.
It's a green tea, but it has, I believe, mint as the main flavor. And it's
Nice.
very sweet. Oh, it's so good.
Nice.
At least I think it's caffeinated. I'm pretty sure it's green tea. That's the base.
I'm just a sucker for tea
Yeah.
and the various mixes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywho,
Cool.
I think that's about it.
Awesome. That's a wrap on episode 12, Tea. If you'd like to delve further into this topic, our research sources and related images are posted on our website, hyperfixation-investigations.com. Again, that's hyperfixation-investigations.com. Thank you so much for listening.
Sign up for our email list on the Contact Us page of our website for updates, and check out our Patreon to support us directly, join our Discord community, and receive other special perks.
See you next week, and remember, what's a little info dumping between friends?